All right, so it is 10:30. Let us start with the webinar. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on the topic guidance on preparing workplaces for COVID-19. I know every one of you are working from home and probably are not able to work in a proper manner, or probably working in a proper manner. For some of us, it is working very good. For some of us, it is not working the way we want it to be like. So in this webinar, we will be covering what kind of measures workplaces should take while returning to work after this COVID-19 pandemic. So today's presenter includes Chandni Chopra. She is the Director of Human Resource at Lambda Test. And myself, I take care of product and marketing and communication at Lambda Test. So here's what we will be talking about in today's webinar. The first point will be aligning around some truths that will be prevailing when you return to the to the workplace now. How do you start returning to the work framework? How to create a solid return to work plan? What will be the organizational strategy? What will be the employee guideline? And we'll be more talking about employee well-being and what kind of strategies and responsibilities should we take ahead. So before deeping dive into the webinar, I wanted to give you some brief about what Lambda Test is all about. So Lambda Test is a cross-browser testing platform on which you can perform Selenium-based automation testing and manual testing on 2000 plus browsers and OS. We have about 200,000 users across the globe, and we have integration with 30 plus project management tools. The best part is that we offer 24/7 technical support. So if there is a need for you to perform a web-based cross-browser testing, Lambda Test is the platform for you. So now I'll be passing over the deck to Chandni. Chandni, I hope you're there. Chandni, can you listen to us?
Yes, I can. Thanks, Junaid.
So I'll be stopping to share my screen. You're free to share your screen now.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Just give me a second while I just share my screen with you guys. Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen. So the idea here is I'll go through the presentation first, and then I'm more than happy to take some questions from you guys as well, and would be interested to know what you guys are doing in your businesses as well. So, we've come to a situation where everybody's working from home, but you're home trying to work during a crisis. So we just need to maintain a balance, and it's important for organization and its employee should rapidly evolve to a new normal. That's the idea here, and something what is working or I am planning as an HR director here, just sharing some insights how I'm planning that as well. Okay, so let's see what are some of the truths you might face. There would be more than this. There will be no time where you flip a switch. You don't know when you're getting back to work. People are still working from home. We don't know. So let's get our plans clear. Make sure everyone knows what your return to work plan is. Some employees may not want to come back, even if they can. You have to be flexible during this time, or maybe this year, to be honest. So see what works best in your business. So try to work around those things. Some employees over here want to come back on the other end, and even if that's not in your plan. So how will you deal with such kind of situations? So think about that. And then we have some, employees taking care of personal needs that can conflict with your business plans overall. Even my kid, there's no schools open. How do I send the kid to a school or a daycare? There's no facility like that available. So consider those points before making any plans for employees. And lastly, the way your office is set up, let's start thinking about how you want to design your office. It's not going to work the way it used to. Maybe moving back to traditional cubicles will be the new normal. So let's think about those areas as well. And as you can understand, there is no business as usual this year. Um, so you have to accommodate, maybe look at what works for your business, what operations will work or not work. So a lot of things, these are the truth of today. So let's work out here. So I have what I've tried to do here next is, um, you will have to see what is new. It is complicated. We don't know any information. It's a high risk. Who comes back? Who does not come back? So many questions we guys have right now. So let's look at a framework that we can see, and each framework could cater to putting in your policies, procedures, protocols. So in a first phase, you've got to think before the office reopens, what kind of disinfection measures you're taking, maximum amount of people you're allowing, what kind of signage you want to put around office. It is mandatory, could be legal requirement also in certain countries. And then we're talking about office reopens only for essential employees in the second phase. Obviously, you're following the first phase protocols and bringing it to the next phase here, and preparing according to that. Only essential employees and essential vendors or customers who you want to entertain, that's your call. And third phase office opens with a limited capacity. It's only open for a specific number of people. You have to still follow the guidelines, the government guidelines or medical guidelines in every state or country that implies. Phase 4, you're looking at offices that open with increased capacity. Um, it's open for an additional amount of people here, kind of followed from the phase 3. But in phase 5, we're kind of getting back to normal, you know, what kind of communication measures or procedures are in effect. So these are like the stages where you can identify and see what needs to be done. So it could be a guide to kind of getting back to work. So how do we plan this? I have few ideas here for you guys, what I think could be important, and actually thinking hard right now, so that you are in a position to answer a lot of questions your employees may have. So some policies and practices, obviously, everyone needs guidance in workplaces these days. So policies to look at that I'm also kind of working on right now uh, is a time off policy. Uh, it could be relating to how employees are already working from home, and now they're going to take some leaves for this year also. So how are you going to manage that, or how do they take a home vacation? So think about that over there as well. Conferences, business travel, a lot of businesses run on, where people have to travel constantly. Right now there is no travel in certain places, so you got to revisit the policy. You got to advise, or people coming back to office from different states or countries as well. You would have to reconsider policies there and give a guidance, obviously. Working from home, there could be strict measures from working from home for certain organizations, but I guess now what kind of relaxation you can give working from home: raises, bonuses, incentive pays. I'm sure, a lot of companies, they have already announced that there are going to be no raises, incentives. But I guess it's better to let everybody know in advance in a policy format. And reviews and performance management. Uh, what are you going to evaluate employees on? For instance, if an employee job is to travel and they cannot travel, so what's the performance based on? You got to rethink of certain categories in the scenario. And then, when we hire employees, how are you going to take interviews? How are you going to make sure visitors are following safety procedures? Food, yes, we kitchens are staffed, what kind of policies you look at, where how people will approach the kitchen, or you would have to make sure they don't cluster, they go in one by one, or it's a take and go kind of service. So think around those lines. Do an employee audit. You can maybe do a survey, I guess, people who are completely able to work from home, but not idle. There are situations where people may not think it's safe. I guess it's not um, nice, or you're not empathizing enough if you're forcing people to come in. So it is a situation you should consider. Struggling to work at home, either lack of tools, home environment, there are a lot of factors here. So an employee audit could help you and kind of plan ahead who to call in, and then you can do your phase-wise planning there as well. And we're thinking through some logistics here. Having employees work in shifts, either alternate times of day, so less people can come into office, or changing work hours, whatever works best. Requiring employees to wear masks, having some PPE kit in office, doing health checks when people arrive in. You can have certain protocols around that. So just sharing some tips here, and maintaining social distance protocols, limiting visitors, reporting staff on how things are going. That's the main key. You might have to revisit on a weekly basis, or 2 weekly basis. Obviously, when the phase kind of increases, the reporting will go less. But inform your staff. Have a regular communication with your staff. What is going to happen? It is important for staff to know this. Prepare your office. I think we might forget doing a lot of stuff here. What I've mentioned, hand signage. Remind people of the protocols again and again. You might want to put instructions for visitors coming in, so they know what to do in the office space, and shift your kitchen in terms of how you planning to keep it stocked, or people can go in there or not. It cannot be a common space anymore. Okay, so talking about some organizational level strategy here. These are some of the guidance which have been given.
So Chandni, we are getting some questions. It would be great if you can, this is upon you if you want to take it now, if you want to actually take it at the end of the webinar. So someone has asked if we would be sharing the slide deck after the webinar. Yes, we'll be sharing it in a video format. It will be available on our YouTube channel, and plus it will be available on Lambda Test website as well. And we'll be also mailing it to all the registrants who have registered for this webinar.
Yes, happy to connect personally also. So just want to add in, if you want to, I can maybe share some things what I'm planning, so we can connect personally, no problem. Okay, so moving ahead here, I'm going to discuss some organizational level strategies. I know it could be a little repetitive, but you could put it in your organization strategy. Yes, I'm just trying to change the slide. So obviously social distancing, we talk about, redesigning office here. So sitting arrangements, screening and monitoring needs to be mandatory done. I guess it's everywhere now, a mandate at all offices or visits that you do now. Sanitization, the most important, and how, where, when it needs to be decided in advance. Even using around kitchens or using bathrooms, a lot of protocols around that need to be thought in advance at an organizational level. Safety and awareness, a lot of information is coming out in the market. Make sure your employees are aware, or in general leadership is aware, so they can kind of pass on and do trainings to employees on a regular basis. Even HR leaders out there should make sure these trainings are done to maintain general OHS. Okay, first I've just created some key points here. What is going to work could work well, actually. Team leaders to be at work well in advance to monitor heads of various functions, departments, or whoever you select, can kind of look at the processes in their respective teams. If you can't do it personally, sometimes it gets hard for you to kind of monitor everybody. And obviously, we cannot be right all the time. It's such a uncertain situation. We Nobody has dealt with this in the past. So identify issue, concern, improve. That's the main goal. And a committee can be formulated, so they are checking on what needs to be done on a daily basis, what feedback you get, change system processes, your protocols, and housekeeping hurdles. Like what I've done is I have already created like a housekeeping checklist. Every day they need to make sure a checklist gets checked off. We haven't gone back to work yet, but once we will, I'm doing all the pre-planning here. Okay, so I'm going to share now a few ideas on the employee guidelines. Uh, these, maybe you can make a guide for employees before, or like a return to welcome kit for employees before they get back to work. And so here's a checklist for employees now. Before coming into office, or you can put it as a survey for employees. Any of these questions are answered no, or there is a thumbs down on it, they should stay home. Um, if they have a flu fever, suffering from any chronic disease, be careful on that. Residing in non-containment zones, it could be different for different countries. So check your local website or guidelines there. Is anyone in family infected? I hope there is no traces there. Being asked by a manager, your presence is needed. If not needed, don't come. So at this time, safety is the priority. So you can add a lot of other things. Uh, there are a lot of guidelines available, so you can make a checklist there. Just guidelines on employees before they're coming into work. They monitor themselves, wear masks, sanitize. Everyone knows that. Maybe some contact tracing applications are available also. So if you have looked through them, and after they go back to work, it's making sure on the way back they are not getting infected. So they're not taking a bath, avoid touching any other places. So giving clothes for laundry, just having this as a guideline would definitely help. And well, personally, in certain stages, in phase one specifically, anyone coming through a public transport, we might not consider them coming to work first. Personal transport could be a way of kind of avoiding the infection in the first phases. So make sure of that. Again, I'm kind of repeating here, but again, a mandatory employee guideline can include a few of these items as well. They can use stairs if possible. Tell your employees to get the temperature checked when they're coming in. Sanitizing. Don't forget to wear masks. Sometimes we just put a mask down or something. It's up to you guys. Do you want to put that as a mandatory? How they can sit, or if they're sitting by themselves in a cubicle, maybe then that time is not required. So you set your own protocols there. In the company premises, when they're working, they got to adhere to new seating plans, maintaining the 6 feet distance. Do not walk in groups. We can just quickly switch our minds and just kind of go back to the social norms when we see our old employees. So we might have to kind of look at how things would work in the new normal. Avoid taking breaks together. We might have to structure the break timings or something. Avoid face-to-face meetings. Again, I understand, while we were in office, we have a habit of just going down to a person and, asking for help. but maybe we may have to move to the digital means even when we are in office, and taking care of your own personal hygiene, cleaning taps, how you're using bathrooms. So a lot of protocol definition needs to be done in these kind of cases. Some good practices, maybe you can put it out as signage like this: greetings, no physical contact, social distancing, hand washing, and if anyone has anything, symptoms tracking, they can report to HR, or they can report to any person who is responsible in the organization, so that they can track any symptoms or any other specific urgent measures have to be taken, can be taken immediately. So communicate there. Kind of reiterating a few measures for employee guidelines. Staying away, should eliminate contact with others, avoid touching surfaces, extent feasible, uh, should be avoiding approximately anyone who appears to be sick. So a few guidelines will help here. And then responsibility of employees to kind of clean their own surfaces just to avoid infection as much as possible. Uh, Wearing mask is mandatory, something, I'm looking at when people return back to work. Uh, Covering your nose and mouth, sometimes we just leave it hanging, or discard your mask if it's to be discarded. Do not touch outside surfaces. A lot of mandate requirements here. So I've just done some research and listed down for you guys. Self-screening procedures, it could be one thing, or maybe they can just put it down as a sign-in sheet. Their temperature is not that much, they don't have any symptoms, or if anything is, they would have to consult medical professionals um, in regards to if they see any symptoms. Would test COVID, for recommend following self-guidance. This is definitely the guidance given by the local government and the medical condition. So you should, follow quarantine rules there, and inform any personnel in office who is responsible. So you are not infecting anybody. The most interesting topic right now, either we are going back to work or we are not going back to work. There would be a lot of talk around how employees maintain their well-being in this condition. So I'm just going to highlight this well-being topic as a very positive one, because this gives employers or leaders a chance where they can incorporate good practices in their culture. We've talked about the physical health aspects, what kind of guidance protocols we can look at there. Now we are talking about mental health. I think that's the key right now. In terms of mental health, there's a lot of stress here and there, a lot of information, therapeutic conditions, options are available. You can give access to employees, or just giving some time off when they require in this stressful situation could be another thing. I have written down supporting employees. What I mean over here, supporting your employees, is actually listening to them. The whole manager feedback kind of pattern might not work in the current situation. You genuinely have to listen to employees. Maybe they might not have a problem, or you don't have to solve a problem for them all the time. The idea is just to genuinely listen, show your support, share maybe what you can, how you are personally dealing, feel them connected. Sooner your employees realize they are not alone in this crisis, they feel more connected to the organization. Financial health is also another major one here. Every organization is going through different states, so it's hard to if there is some financial aid to be provided, and it could improve the overall well-being of an employee here. And talking about staying in touch is very important. Don't just communicate, over communicate, and talk to your employees on a regular basis. The main thing is giving clarity. So whatever we talked about today, it's about telling everybody in advance and giving them a clarity how and what you're going to do. So that's what staying in touch could amplify here. And flexible working hours, everyone has their own personal um, requirements right now. They are juggling a lot of things at home, so just giving them flexibility when they can come into office, when they can leave, or the breaks that they can take, or maybe they're working from home, they maybe can work at their own space and time. Lastly, I want to include with the corporate social responsibility. Employers or leaders, they might have not brought in people to connect towards a common cause. So this could be another thing. Sometimes people don't have the means to kind of do a social cause. So this could be an opportunity if you can provide at an organizational level. So yeah, this is the overall idea of employee, and I just want to sum eventually, but it is a kind of a black box right now. There could be a situation if somebody gets infected, operations could go down, or government guidelines could change, or business operation would lead to changing in other strategies or laying off employees. It could be anything here, but just have a plan ready, communicate to people on a regular basis. That is the idea here. And I'll keep sharing some more ideas with you guys, how you can kind of make these frameworks, and what you can include in these frameworks, more information that we have available. We will have to kind of change accordingly. So yes, guys, this is from my side. I am more than happy to take questions now. So let's start on that.
So we had one question that was there. Can we get a copy of this slide deck? We have already answered it. Plus, we'll be also hosting it on SlideShare that will be available for public viewing. So anyone who wants to download this deck as well can do it. So if anyone have any other question, please feel free to share your questions with us in the Q&A sections that you will be seeing.
Otherwise, I can share my email address also if you guys want to email me anything on
So you can connect with Chandni over LinkedIn as well. She is available there, and you can send whatever questions if you have around the webinar or around returning to work from this pandemic. So she'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. Can you share? Can you please go back to the slide where your email ID is hosted?
Yeah, sure.
So here are the contact details of Chandni. Please feel free to reach out to her. Also, Chandni, can you stop the screen share now? I'll just share my screen. Cool. So here are the details. We are still waiting. If you want to ask some questions, please go ahead. Okay, I don't think there is any question for us, Chandni. So
Yes. I think we have one question.
I cannot see. How should we arrange seating in office? Should it be 6 feet away from each other? Chandni?
Yeah, so right now the guideline is to kind of have 6 feet away distance. Yes. Maybe if you cannot, like, an employee, you can measure distances and then people can sit according to that. So this is the government guideline being given right now. So I guess that's, does it answer your question?
What is the recommended timeline for each of the 5 phases?
So, as I mentioned before, these phases will depend upon how the infection is spreading in your state or country. So, everybody will have different times and what kind of phases they will be in. So, you will have to see according to the current conditions and then decide which phase you're in.
I hope this answers your question. So we have another question from Nikhil. Any specific for closed meeting rooms? Anything specific? Usage of AC in the office?
Again, this is on medical grounds. I won't be answering those on that. But in closed meeting rooms, also, you would have to maintain the distance. People should be wearing masks. That is the general guideline given. So social distancing will have to be followed, and you will have to maintain certain protocols on that, how people are doing their meeting also. Uh, Personally, when I'm going visiting for any business meetings, we are making sure, even if it's closed room, we are sitting a distance apart and wearing our masks.
How do we encourage team building during this time?
That is a very interesting topic. So you can do it again in different sections. So either you can do it team wise, and then you can do even town halls. In our current setup, we do town halls on a monthly basis, and then I'm initiating team bonding activities at a team level also. And then team leaders themselves or managers heading certain functions are also connecting on hurdle basis to encourage team building.
I think we have answered the questions. We are still waiting if someone have any other question for us. I think that's it. Chani, what do you think?
Yes, I think some really good questions there, guys. I'll share some ideas to you personally also if you want. Let's connect when you get a chance. Thank you so much for attending.
So we have another webinar that will be running, which will be on running. This would be a DevOps and continuous testing related webinar, which we'll be doing with Circle CI on 9th of July at the same time. So we'll be sharing all the details with the registration page and other stuff with you soon. If anyone in your team would be interested in joining this webinar, please feel free to share it with them. Thank you from our side and stay safe. Let us know if you need any help with, if you need the slides personally, or if you have any personal question you want to ask from Chandni or me, please feel free to reach us out. Thank you.
Thank you.